Hello everyone and welcome to this PICO developer tutorial. In this video, we're going to show you how to get started with the PICO XR SDK in Unreal Engine. We're going to start with a simple project using Unreal's VR template and build a virtual reality application that runs on the PICO 4 headset. Throughout this tutorial, we will walk you through the process of creating a new Unreal project and of course integrating the PICO XR plugin. We'll show you how to configure the project settings for a VR application, how to enable developer mode, and finally how to package properly the VR application so that it runs on PICO devices. To stay updated, we recommend that you visit the PICO developer website that contains the latest information as well as SDK updates. In this video, we're going to use the PICO SDK version 2.15. I will show you how to set up the SDK for Unreal Engine 4.27 specifically, but I will also explain the small differences if you wish to do the same for Unreal Engine 5.1. Firstly, you need to make sure that your PC meets the required specifications. In the video description below, we are sharing a link with details about the hardware and software requirements for the PICO SDK. Check it out. Secondly, you should install Visual Studio 2019. The third step is to prepare the right tools and set up the Android development environment in your Unreal Engine editor. We have a link in the description with detailed information on how to do that. Go ahead and follow the guides for these 3 steps before continuing with this video. So as you can see, I have already installed Java JDK version 1.8.0_301 in my system. You can also use the recommended 1.8.0_351, which also works. Besides that, I have already installed Android Studio 4.0, and as you can see, if I go to Tools, SDK Manager, I've already installed a few more things. Under SDK platforms, I've installed the recommended Android 10.0 or API level 29. And under SDK tools, if I click on Show Package Details, under Android SDK build tools, I've installed version 30.0.3, which is the recommended version. Besides that, under NDK, I've installed 2 different versions. The first one is 21.4, which is the recommended version of NDK for Unreal Engine 4.27. But if you're using Unreal Engine 5, you will also need NDK 25.1. You can have both of them installed into your system, and I'll show you later how you can pick which one you want to use depending on the version of the engine you're using. Finally, don't forget that under Android SDK command line tools, you need to make sure you've installed version 8.0. So let's open Unreal Engine and create a new project. In this video, I'm using Unreal 4.27.2. Under Project Categories, select Games and click on Next. From the available templates, select Virtual Reality, since we're going to use the Virtual Reality template as a start. Click Next. Make sure that no started content is selected, and then choose a name for your project. In my case, that's going to be my PICO project. Once the project is loaded, the editor will open the project. You should see the VR template scene. Because this is going to be a blueprint project, I recommend that you convert it to a C++ project. The easiest way to do that is by going to File and clicking on New C++ class. Just select an empty one for now. It doesn't really matter what you set up here. And click Create Class. This will convert your project into a C++ project, so if you want to, you can actually integrate C++ code. This is not required, but it's just a recommendation. Now it's time to download the PICO Unreal Integration SDK or PICO XR Plugin. This software development kit provides you with fundamental interfaces to design, build and test VR experiences that run on PICO headsets. There are 3 ways to download the SDK. The first one is to download and install the PICO XR plugin by visiting the Epic Games Marketplace and searching PICO XR. Although 2 plugins will come up in the search results, make sure you select the PICO XR plugin and not the PICO OpenXR plugin, as that's a different plugin we will talk about in a separate video series. The second way is to get the custom PICO fork of Epic's Unreal Engine that supports versions 4.27 and 5.1 from GitHub. The engine source code includes the latest plugin, which at the time of recording is version 2.1.5, and that's embedded within it, along with more new features we'll talk about in a separate video. Finally, the third way of installing the PICO SDK is to get the latest one from the official developer website. And you can download this plugin as a project plugin, so it can be installed directly to your Unreal project. In this video, I'm going to use the SDK from the PICO developer website, so option number 3. Let's head over to the PICO developer website. Click on SDK Download. From the available tabs, click on Unreal, and then click Download. You need to read and agree to the required terms, and then this will start the SDK download. While you're waiting, you can also check the documentation or even check the SDK demos. On our GitHub page, we have several different demo projects for you to get started. After downloading the PICO SDK, you need to make sure that you unzip the file. Check and find the Unreal Engine version that you're currently using. I'm using Unreal Engine 4.27, so I'm going to open that folder. Inside here, you'll find a plugins folder. This is the one we're going to need to copy and paste to our new project. So make sure that you copy this. Now we're going back to the PICO project we created earlier, and we can paste the plugins folder here. Now let's reopen the project. In the top left of the Unreal Engine editor, click on Edit, Plugins. Now click on Installed, and you should see two different PICO plugins, the PICO XR Plugin and the Online Subsystem PICO. The Online Subsystem PICO contains platform features that are essential, such as entitlement checks. But we'll talk about it more in a separate video. Let's select under the built-in category, Virtual Reality. You will notice that as stated on Epic Games website, the VR template project is using by default OpenXR, and therefore several OpenXR plugins are enabled. However, in this video we won't use OpenXR for our project, so go ahead and untick the boxes from all the plugins that are currently ticked. This will uninstall them. Don't restart the project as yet. We will make a few more changes in our project settings, and then we will restart the project for the changes to be applied. Now, let's go and make the required modifications in the project settings. Go back to your project, click Edit, Project Settings, and then under the Engine section, find the Rendering category. Scroll down and make sure that the Mobile HDR under the VR section is unchecked. Also, after that, go to the Input category and make sure that the default touch interface is set to none. Now let's configure the Android SDK settings. Scroll down from the left navigation panel and find the Platform section and click on Android SDK. You need to fill in the paths according to the location where you installed the Android environment in your PC. In my case, I've used the default installation path, so the Android SDK is under the path you can see on the screen. Since I'm using Unreal Engine 4.27, the location of the Android NDK was set to the installation path of NDK version 21.4. However, if you're using Unreal Engine 5, make sure this is set to NDK version 25.1. For the Java location, pick the folder where JDK was installed. Set the SDK API level to match NDK and set the NDK API level to Android-29. Next, let's go to Platforms Android. Click on Configure Now under the APK packaging category so it will turn green. Make sure that package game data inside .apk is checked. Also, make sure that the minimum SDK version is set to 24 and that the target SDK version is set to 26. You can also modify the Android package name to match your needs. In this case, I'm going to rename it to com.pico.mypicoapp. Next, check that Enable Full Screen Immersive on KitKat and above devices is checked. And scroll down under the Advanced APK Packaging and feel free to remove the packages for Oculus mobile devices and for Google VR. In the Build section, make sure that you check Support ARM64 and uncheck Support ARMv7. Also in the same section, select the rendering method to build your project. If you want to package your project with OpenGL rendering interface, check Support OpenGL. Otherwise, check Support Vulkan. In this case, we recommend using Vulkan, so I will only select Support Vulkan. Now that we've finished with all the required project settings, please restart the project. After restarting the project, it's time to build it and package it into an APK file which will be installed to the PICO headset. So go to File, Package Project, Android, Android ASTC. Select the location of your choice and create a new folder. The generated APK file will be exported here. Click Select Folder and make sure that you check the output log window during the packaging process in case any errors pop up. As you can see, the packaging is complete and it was successful. If you open the package folder under Android ASTC, you will see the APK file that was generated. To install APK files to your headset, you need to enable developer mode. Let's see how this can be done. Launch your headset and navigate to Settings General. Look for the About section and scroll until you find the Software Version section. Click 7 times on the Software Version field until the Developer Mode option appears at the bottom left of the left navigation panel. In the top right corner, you'll find the USB debugging switch. Make sure it's enabled to enable USB debugging. Once you have successfully enabled Developer Mode, you'll be able to send ADB commands to your headset. To test if this works properly, open the console command and run the command ADB devices after connecting the PICO headset to your PC with a USB-C cable. As you can see, I get back the serial number of my device, meaning that my PC can read information from the headset. That's it, now your headset is ready for VR development. Now, let's install the APK file to our PICO headset. The only thing you need to do is type the command adb install and then drag and drop the APK file to your console window. Press enter. This will tell you that it's performing a streamed install, and if it's successful, you'll get back a success message. That's it. Now the APK file is installed to our headset. APK files are installed by default under the unknown category. Go ahead and open the application when installed. Congratulations! You've successfully created your first VR application for PICO headsets. Today we covered the entire process from setting up your environment in Unreal Engine to packaging and running a VR app on your headset. I hope this tutorial was helpful in getting you started with PICO XR development. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting VR guides. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching and happy VR development!